Hey there, Monica. So today I want to talk to you about books. I want to just talk about any books. The video is actually going to be a tag, which I would like to call books that ... How most of the time when people vlog about books, they talk about one book and what they thought of it. I had a slightly different idea in mind today. I got this idea from a book that I've read where the person is a teacher and he would bring in books that mean a lot to him to class. Well, and specifically books that have helped him with his studies, and I'll do the same thing. Kind of the same thing. I'm gonna get started and introduce some books. So I decided I like filming on the carpet. Yep, I like it. I like filming on the ground. First book I'm gonna talk about is The Fault in Our Stars. It's actually not my copy of The Fault in Our Stars. I don't own The Fault in Our Stars. This is a birthday gift that I gave to Maida, and which I then borrowed to read, but never got to read yet. I borrowed it 2 months ago, and I haven't, read it yet. Anyway, The Fault in Our Star is the book that I have not read, but everybody wants me to. And by everybody, I mean my favorite YouTubers and my vlogbrothers, and, my friends, you guys, Maida and Monica, you guys both want me to read this book. I'm going to read it and everything, but now I just sort of have this super high expectation for it, for how heartbreaking and amazing, yet all inspiring and great it's going to be. But what if it's not great? However, I have kind of a slight dilemma with this book. I'm still going to read it. I'm excited to read it. It's just now I sort of am afraid of disappointment. To be the next book I'm going to talk about. Because today I'm going to be talking about disappointment a lot. So, I'm a cheerful person. Speaking of disappointment, The Hunger Games. Yes, I'm sorry. But for me, The Hunger Game was a little bit of a disappointment. It was a good read. I read through it. I read it in a day. Also, for me, the book just didn't... It was supposed to be dark and dystopian, but at the same time, it wasn't as... For me, it wasn't as dark and mind-blowing as some of the books I've already read. And here I'm talking about nonfiction books, because I like reading nonfictions. That's just me. I actually am not really a fiction reader. I like reading nonfiction that are written in a narrative. And one of the books that I have read, which I don't know the name in English, but I promise I'll look it up and have you guys read it in maybe a book club thing. But that book talked about chocolate and chocolate industry and how chocolate is sold to children in commercials, and how yet child labor is used, and how nobody sees a lot of that, how dark and just disturbing the entire chocolate industry is. And for me, that book was just mind-blowing. It was dark and intriguing and made me stop eating chocolate for 3 months because I felt guilty every time I started eating chocolate. And yeah, so that's what I was expecting the book to be, but that wasn't what it was. The third book I'm talking about is The Book Thief. The Book Thief is the book that got me thinking about it critically, but I never really understood what it meant until I read The Book Thief. It's such an apparent example of the way structure and sentence and narration and metaphor and symbolism just tied in so beautifully in a book. The third book I'm going to talk about is The Lightning Thief. The Lightning Thief is the first book that made me into a fan. The next book I'm going to talk about is an art book called Color and Light. It's a guide for a realistic painter. It's for me, it talks about different lighting and the effects of details and hue and color under different lighting, and it was the first book that made me come to the conclusion that people in art actually do things on purpose. See, before I had kind of had this concept that geniuses, both in all kinds of art, in literary art and art, like fine art, they all sort of just draw something and it's just, oh my gosh, so amazing. But I've since learned in this past year that intention matters a lot, and a lot of time what makes a good art and good literature is not just the writing, it's also the intention, the message. And this would be the end of my video, and I tagged, Maida and Monica to do a video like this. Tell me what books did what for you.